Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. So, of course, today the topic is using dual Enzo X pedals. So I have, if you take a look around, I got an Enzo X here. I also have another one here. And one thing a lot of people don't realize about the Enzo X, right? For one, a lot of times they underestimate it. You know, it's an exceptionally what's the word I would like to use? Flexible pedal. Make sure you hit that like button while you're here as well. But it also allows you to, not just get synth sounds, but you can actually get really close to actual like sounds because it is a full featured synth. It's not just, about the tracking. The tracking is great, and I've done a ton of videos with it on bass. But as I've been exploring it more with the MIDI controllers and things like that, I've been able to create a lot more different sounds, and just get some different inspiration to the point where I've been able to get a few decent EP type sounds, electric piano type sounds like this. This is only pedals you've heard so far are the two Enzo X pedals. The Tone X one is running a Colorbox B2 tone model. So basically a clone of this JHS pedal here and the Mercury X, right? Most people don't even know you can get sounds like that with a real full feature synth, and the sound quality is amazing. Never mind the fact that it's a great, it has the additional amazing use as a multi-effects pedal for bass, right? So I use it for all my modulations, all my filters, all my drives, and I pretty much can have those anywhere I want to. And ring modulation and bit crusher are all available to me in there. So the one you're hearing is this one, and I do have it running through the parallel mixer. Well, let's just go ahead and explain the chain real quick, mine as well. This pedal board has a parallel mixer in it. So first we start here at the Empress compressor, amazing analog compressor, flowing over here to the parallel mixer. The red slot here is for the Future Impact. The white one's for the Chimera. The gold one's for the Enzo X. And the reason why something like a parallel mixer is important in something in this type of setup is because it can allow me to run all my synths at once. Even with the tracking, I can send my dry signal to each one of these pedals and not have them, and then mix them, the return, and it all still come out of a mono input. And voila, makes for a much more flexible sound. If I would like to use I can use the Chimera and the Enzo X on the pedal board at the same time. And I can use the Future Impact as well. So it pretty much allows me to use all my synth pedals at once, with the exception of this additional Enzo X. And I am running all of those mono out of here into the Pog 3, Rabbit Sitar, into the Electro Harmonics V256 vocoder, over to the Tone X pedal, Tone X1, running stereo out of here to the Mercury X, then to the New X looper, out of there into the Canvas stereo line isolator. It's all being powered by a Canvas Power 15, which I still have a few more slots. I could add things if I wanted to. It's all one power outlet, MIDI under the board. Got a nice preset controller here, which is the Graviton M1, controls a lot of my presets. So as I'm moving during shows, I can just recall presets really fast. And all three of these MIDI controllers are being powered by the same outlet as the pedal board. So it's running into, I have a CME H4 MIDI Pro underneath the board. All three of these are being powered by it, and MIDI, sending MIDI through the board and wirelessly to the iPad through the WIDI jack. And I have a MIDI captain here on the floor with 10-foot switches. And that's also wireless MIDI with a WIDI master over to the pedal board as well. And the Enzo X is running on a WIDI master. So I have wireless Bluetooth, wireless and wired MIDI throughout the board, and I have 2 different signal paths for the MIDI. So, all right, let's get back to some sounds. Right, so we'll get back to just the dual Enzo X's real quick. So even just switching over to, it's able to get quite a few different EP type sounds, things I could just use for, I guess, in substitution for, you know, having an EP, actual EP sound or sample. Or if I just want like a unique texture, that usually works out great. So, see what else we got here. And I also have the accompanying 10-foot switch for the Graviton M1, which I use to control things like sustain and the different parameters I might have assigned to either the expression pedal or the hold modifier button. I have all that wirelessly MIDI being triggered through wireless MIDI as well. So let's see what else we got here. So, of course, I got all my pads and things. And all while I still have another one over here where I did kind of a trumpet sound. Again, just the Enzo X's. They actually have reverb built into them, so you don't have to have an additional reverb pedal. It can function as your delay and reverb pedal, just not at once. But it can do either delay or reverb for you. Right? And I have this set up for a polyphonic trumpet, brass type sound. So it really just gives me like ultimate freedom to use all of my sounds, you know, even the solo sounds. I can now combine my solo sounds with pads or things like might want to do we got arpeggiators on here as well. So let's put some slightly milder sound there on the bottom one. Let's go with that. So you can just begin to really combine those sounds. And that's the real key with for me, with a lot of synths, the reason why I like to have different synths is because I end up layering the different sounds while I'm looping or doing different things, right? So having two Enzo X pedals allows me like even greater flexibility. Say I wanted to do a string sound on this one, right? And have it additionally be processed by the Mercury X with some octavers and things like that. So I can get this type of sound. I can have that sound on the bottom. Wow, let's see what we got over here. So now you're really getting flexible with the ability to do the arpeggiator and the actual synth engine and have the same, sound quality. Difficult part about pairing things together, you really have to experiment with it and just see what sounds work together. And, I just got this other Enzo X yesterday, so I'm still, and I did throw all my sounds on here, so I have complete access to my preset pack, the same preset pack that's available on the Patreon for the Enzo X. So you can go brass on the bottom. Let's see where we at. Let's go brass. So I can have this brass sound, nice. And I actually like the brass sounds I was able to make on the Enzo X more than a lot of samples I've used. You know what I'm saying? Samples of actual brass. I like something a little bit different with my sounds. You know, I don't always like it to just be, you know, I'm not exactly trying to get brass. I have access to as many musicians as I could ever need, you know, and part of that is just, you know, I want to have different sounds. Just checking something here. I want to have different sounds. So I decided to make all the brass and stuff from scratch, you know. And part of the musical journey is not always using what's already there. You know, we all know I could just access piano sounds. Right, I have all that type of stuff in my iPad. I even have brass sounds. Here's the brass sounds in the sample tank versus this brass sound. So that's a whole different texture than you know, a whole different texture. So, you know, I look at things like that when I'm creating. I want to have some original sounds. Like this is close to a saxophone. But I don't actually want it to be an actual saxophone. You know, if I layer these sounds, I can. Now I got somewhat of a whole horn section. So let me see something real. Is this one up and running? Make sure the stream good, folks. Definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Definitely helps me out. So just having basically two different ways I'm processing the Enzo X sound as well. So on this Enzo X, I have all the ambient, all the reverbs and delay, all that stuff turned off right there. But on this Enzo X, I have it, so the ambient stuff is there. So I have in here in the Enzo X and the Mercury X, there's this algorithm called the Prism, which is my favorite reverb. So I can now pretty much use this internal Prism reverb algorithm to handle all the reverb needs I need from here. So this is why it's a complete unit. Because even in the standalone, it's still a monster of a synth. See what else we got on here. So I can, because I just got this yesterday, some of these reverb sections aren't on. Bring them highs and lows down. And of course, you have decay. You can add some modulation to the reverb as well. And you can control the highs and the lows of the reverb plus the mix. So very useful tools. So you take a sound like that and you want to pair it maybe with, let me see. What I got? This one's a little, let me see what I want to do. See this music box. Other thing I like, I can have different EQ curves for both of them. So on this one, I actually have it so it's running through the Tone X1 as well. So if I wanted a different EQ curve for the JHS color box V2 tone models I have in here, I have two different ones saved here. One that's a little bit more in your face, one that kind of pulls the sound back a bit, you know, so. That's that old school 70s lead right there. Oh, we gotta put that in a bigger room. And that's the ring modulator being triggered in the Enzo X right there is what you're hearing by the whole modifier button. So I can turn that on and off if I would like. So you got options upon option when you got two of them. And it's amazing how far the technology has come. You know, you would have needed a whole wall or room full of synths to get this many different sounds before. in terms of just the synth pedals, what's available today, things like the Future Impact, the Chimera, Enzo X, you would have needed so much more equipment than these small pedals that are, you know, I'm using here. And that's the real crazy part for me. You know, through it all, we all get some amazing gear, you know. I'm just making sure, just make sure my camera doesn't overheat here. So yeah, again, just the even clavy, type sounds I've been able to get out of the Enzo X, and that's coming out of that one, so it is being processed over here. So even things like that you can, which is crazy, because before I got into synthesizers, I really, before you really start learning how sounds are made, a lot of times with synthesizers like subtractive synths, these are subtractive synths, you start to be able to really recognize different waveforms really easily, and which allows you to create a ton of different sounds. Now, say I wanted to play them both with the same keyboard, I can easily just come over here to the Enzo X global menu and just change it to the same channel. Right now, previously they were on 3 and 4. Now they're both on 3. And, I still got the option to come over here and maybe add in like that EP sound as well. Let's see where it is. I gotta get another keyboard stand. I got this sitting on this little table here. But you get the point. So also gives you an opportunity to layer sounds like that in that way where you're not just playing them separately. You can go ahead and now have two of the sounds together. So individually, this is the Rhodes sound. Right, these. Right, and then you also have the clavinet type sound. And some people might ask, why would I want to have two synth sounds versus having a clavinet sample and a Rhodes sample? Because they just simply sound different, and it's just different textures, and there's really no getting around that, So having that available definitely, it just like anything else, it opens up your sound palette. It gives you an opportunity to, I found that having different sounds definitely inspires you to, especially when you first hear them, or even after you familiarize yourself with the sound, you'll still find yourself exploring different things that when you can. So, and you'll know where to use them. Like I knew that clavinet. So gives me a whole different texture. Oh, did my camera just cut off on me? Sorry, guys. Let me get that out the way. So you won't be able to see me, but I'm here. Gotta let the camera cool down. I didn't have my usual fan on it, all that good stuff. But we'll keep going. Matter of fact, let me go ahead, open this door. All right, we back at it. So make sure I hit that like button while you're here. It definitely helps me out a lot. You'd be surprised. Also, hit them reactions. You feel me? So on top of having the pads and all that stuff, I can also run Keybase. I have a ton of Keybase patches on here as well. And now we'll switch channels as well. So we're going to put this back on channel 4. We're going to change this keyboard to channel 4. Change this one to channel 3. this out just a bit. So you got I'm actually put the synth bass up here because I like to have a little bit more processing on that than something I might use down here, like the pads, or even things like vid keys. All right, so come up here. Let's go. Let's go there. Switch these back. So now we got our synth bass game going on here. Let's throw some reverb on that. Let's add a little volume to this. So even things like that have an ability to just play different parts at once and still have all your synth sounds and in extremely high quality at that. And you just have access to those sounds. So, yes, two of them will be quite a bit. What's going on, folks? Appreciate you chiming in. Usual suspects starting to show up a little early today, but definitely appreciate you stopping past. So, So whatever you want to do, I'm just making up stuff right there. But you can do whatever you want when you got two of them pretty much. And like I said, they are full-featured synths. So, you know, I look at it like one synthesizer, just one, right? Could run one polyphonic synthesizer could run you thousands of dollars, especially getting this type of quality. But not only, you know, do you get the two boxes, they are, again, multi-effects units. So this one, say theoretically I wanted to use this one for the synths and use this one over here for like my chorus and phaser and everything else, I could have that at the end of the chain here, right before the Tone X1, or right after the Tone X1 rather, and have all my modulations after my preamps and things like that, or amp models. So that is one huge benefit to using that method. So you know, you can run one mono for your synth bass, and you can run the other one stereo for your modulation effects and your pads. It's another way of doing things. Ooh, I gotta get a smaller keyboard stand too. That's the only problem with like 49 key keyboards. You have to pretty much keep them, you know, the stands are really built for 61 and more. So, problem I'm still working out. Also have it set up so if I don't want to just sustain there, I have the expression pedal side of the Enzo X. I have that attached to the ADSR, and it allows me to have this sound and then also have a more sustained sound. Something you really couldn't do with a lot of synthesizers, or a lot of the vintage ones. You know, and the routing on the Enzo X makes it exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Like, exceptional. So we can add some verb here. So I don't know why I always do that. So one of the primary reasons things like that are possible with the Enzo X is because it also does a bit of FM synth. It's not a full FM synthesizer, but it does allow you to modulate a oscillator with another one. And that's pretty much what FM synth is. A lot of times you'll have like 6 different operators or 5 different ones modulating one. And that's how a lot of the FM bass sounds are made. Or, there's different combinations of that. But, you can get some really metallic type textures out of the Enzo X as well, where you get that more mallet type of sound. You get that real metal. It's like a metal, metallic type of sound. So makes a huge difference in, you know, versus it sounding like this, which is more of a classic subtractive synth type of sound. It also helps with the brass sounds and stuff, but really with the saw oscillators, that gets you pretty close to the brass sounds. So even, you know, duplicating certain sounds pretty easy with the Enzo X. It has all the tools you need to, even like these little toy box. Get you those type of metallic sounds. You know, you can even, this is the Enzo X running by itself. So as you can hear, there's no reverb on that. Let's turn a little bit on there. You know, but you heard the panning. So you know that you also have that ability in here to do auto panning. You have tremolo, vibrato. You got tons of effects just right in the Enzo X. So now we got some nice reverb. You want more of an ambient type sound, you can bring it up. Listen to the size of that room, like. Just very, very pleasant sound to listen to in general. I absolutely love the Enzo X. I really have no real legitimate complaints about this thing. And that's why I have two of them, of course. Get it a little more back. Say that. So the other beautiful thing about the Enzo X is it's polyphonic and monophonic, which allows you to basically have it where you can have those nice smooth monophonic jumps. And the polyphonic mode. Let's bring up some ambience in that. So it just, I know sometimes having two of one pedal seems a bit extreme, but in terms of being able to use multiple sounds from a unit, the Enzo X is so good, it almost demands that you have two of them so you can do different things at the same time. You know, if you are a multi-instrumentalist like myself, where I play bass and other instruments as well, like piano, it just opens up a whole world for you. And if you are a pianist or an organist or whatever it may be, you can go to a gig with a MIDI controller, something like this, you know, something real small, just 37, 49, and 61, key MIDI controllers. If you're just going to be doing pads and stuff like that, you can just take this and the Enzo X, you know, play organ and the Enzo X at the same time and layer them together. You got your organ sounds and your pad sounds, you know, for different things. Same thing if you, you know, say you're a church musician, it's easier to carry around the Enzo X with your pads and all your extra stuff in there and just use whatever piano sounds they might have there, or take an Enzo X and an iPad and a MIDI controller, and you're in real live business. Like you got your pianos, and if you have something like Sample Tank, let's switch this from monophonic to, let's go here. Awesome part is any part of this I can control separately. So if I need to control the volume of the Enzo X, I can bring that down. And I do have the Mercury X on there running this preset called Cosmic. Again, for the Enzo X, Mercury X, Future Impact, V4, and, you know, C4 Synthtonics, pedals, the Zoom pedals, MS60B+, B6, MS70 CDR+. All those preset packs are available on the Patreon. If you're hearing sounds that you would like to own and you happen to have one of these devices, or you are planning on getting one, if you plan on getting one, make sure you shout me out. You know what I'm saying? Let them know that the Bass Nagas sent you, first off. Then, you know, get you a preset pack. You don't have to worry about spending the hours I did programming them, imagining all these sounds, and, you know, in some cases, duplicating sounds. But it fits perfectly with that. Right? So I can still have another Enzo X. Say I wanted to go crazy, have a little pedal board to go to keyboard gigs and stuff with. have two Enzo X's, just daisy chain them. And then you can use whatever piano sounds or whatever you want to use on top of that. So right here is just one Enzo X doing the pad underneath, right? So put that piano on it. And say you want to bring that, you can bring that mix down on the Reverb there. And so I'm actually, in this instance, I'm using the Tone X1 as my audio interface for my iPad. So to get the sound, the MIDI to the iPad, I'm using a CME H2 MIDI Pro. It's a bigger version of this underneath the board, but I already had a smaller version before. This wasn't quite enough MIDI ports for me, like actual 5-pin MIDI. So I took this one, run a little hub to my iPad, and then I have the Tone X1 USB connected to the hub here, as well as the MIDI interface. And you can, if you have something like an X-Tone Pro, I have an X-Tone Pro. It's an audio interface and MIDI in one, but I actually prefer this method just because now the Tone X1, I don't have to add an additional audio interface. I can just tap into the Tone X1, run straight from the Tone X1 without the preamps affecting it, stereo out of here into the Mercury X, which allows me to have my pads and my leads and my piano and all the sounds in my iPad running through the Mercury X and ultimately through the looper if I need to loop them. So it just gives me a lot of freedom without having to patch in too much. A simple USB hub to Tone X1, you know, plug in the CME H2 MIDI Pro, and it's wireless too, so this little light blinking here is just letting you know MIDI's coming into it. And that's wirelessly. So only thing actually connected to this board from the iPad is the Tone X1 functioning as an audio interface. And it actually sounds really good. Nice quality, even though it's only 44.1 kilohertz, that's still CD quality now. Use my freeze, controlling that. It's sustaining all this stuff wirelessly as well. So if you wanted to get fancy, you can add some strings. And still have your lead sounds. Let's go 19. So what's going on, folks? Appreciate you chiming in. And I've even managed to get things like, you know, kick type sounds. Off the Enzo X, little snare type, electronic snare type thing. So, little hi-hat action. So you also could just do, got this top tempo here. So you can almost make like a melodic hi-hat type of thing going on with the Enzo X as well. Of course, I have the pitch shifting in here as well is crazy. You got monophonic and polyphonic octavers in here that are really good. So, you know, it potentially might save you on that as well. Like it'll pretty much, one Enzo X can save you thousands of dollars of chasing sounds, chasing modulations, chasing delays. Well, I mean, it's not going to replace a lot of the delay pedals and reverb pedals, but it does have some exceptionally good ones on here. But the filters and the drives and the modulations are insane. And the monophonic octaver can get you some really nice octave sounds, like especially things if you like the OC2 type of sound. Enzo X can get you close to that. You know, so you got a lot of options. Vibrato, all the different. Plus, you can do things with these modulations that you would need like 4 different algorithms from other companies to do. For instance, if I wanted to create a envelope vibrato, right? So when I trigger the note, I don't want the vibrato to come right in. I want the envelope to, I want a longer attack time. So basically it'll take a longer time to incorporate the vibrato while still decaying it if I wanted it to, or sustaining that vibrato. So you got options with the modifiers and expression pedal as well. Thanks, I appreciate that. You know, definitely it's always changing setup. You know, it's never the same. So it's always changing depending on whatever ideas I have at the moment. The setup, that is. And you also got in something like sampled the iPad, you can have neo soul keys. Again, the pads just work. They work with different sounds. Let's go to some different pads. Let's see what we got. Let's go. And one of the cool things about the parallel mixer here is, say I wanted the Enzo X to have less bottom. It has a tilt EQ, so I can take some of the bottom out the sound if I didn't want it in there, so it doesn't conflict with the EP as much. So especially in this area. So this is with it flat, right? So now I just took out a lot of that low end. Then when I bring that EP back, still got the option to come over here, add a little more. And then we'll come over here and just switch this to the same exact channel as the other two. Just channel 3. Of course, you can adjust. For this, you might even go with, let's try this. Yes, I have played the Enzo X with my bass. You know, actually, that's primarily the way I play the Enzo X. I mostly use it like this in my production and stuff like that, but the entire sound pack I created was meant to be used with your actual bass. And the main thing is with any of these pedals is you want to pay attention to your EQ. Enzo X actually, you know, you'll have to experiment with your bass, but for the most part, most synth pedals and octave pedals are going to track better with more higher mid-range in there, just like more of that actual range of the spectrum it can recognize faster. You know, the reason why pedals track a little slower in the lower end of the bass is because each note takes longer to form. You know, the lower you go, the longer it takes for that waveform to form. And then it has to try to track that. So but the tracking on if you see a pedal up here, the tracking is good. Even the Chimera, it has some good tracking. I'm still brand new to that one. This white pedal here, that's also a synth pedal. The tracking, and it's polyphonic as well. So the tracking on there has been pretty good. Still tightening it up and getting some real, I guess, actual settings or guidelines for my settings for the tracking for the Chimera. But every single one of these pedals takes a bit of, except for the electro-harmonics pedals, to be honest. Like the electro-harmonic pedals, you just pick them up and play for the most part. But you know, with the Future Impact, Chimera, the Enzo X, you will need to understand how they track and the tracking settings. For instance, the Enzo X, you have a built-in noise gate, and you have, what else on it? Oh, the note persist. So the note persist time is going to definitely take some time. Awesome. That's even better. It'll be even easier for you because you already know how to use effects, and you pretty much know the majority of what these pedals like would do. It's just the rest of what you probably may or may not need. I don't know. I know you have a degree in audio engineering. The oscillators is where you would change most of the sound. So it takes some time just working with the oscillators. You know what I'm saying? And then oscillators and filters, and then you start throwing on your effects. And I'm sure you know how to EQ with the best of them, so, that won't be a problem. Hold up. We getting some skip frames here, everybody. I'm trying to make sure we're not getting some skip frames here. Let me see if I can get this camera back on. Let's get that back up and running. Damn. Let's see what we got here. All right, so I'm back. Appreciate y'all hanging in there. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, that's the thing with if you know how to work synthesizers and stuff already. These are pretty much exactly that. It's just the tracking settings. Like in here, they have different tracking settings. Each one has different tracking settings. So that's the main difference I noticed with the tracking. Once you dial that in, you know, all of them are playable with your guitar, especially guitar. You know, Enzo X and the Chimera are actually designed primarily for guitar, and I just use them on bass. While the Future Impact is designed for bass, it also does have a guitar mode. So essentially what you're looking at is like a Mini Moog, an ARP 2600, and those type of monophonic synths. Then you got like your lo-fi synth here, and then you got your hi-fi modern, you know, synthesizer in the Enzo X. What we got here? Let's see, catch up on your comments here. Yeah, this is good. These synths are good as any rack unit you'd find. I would, you know, vouch for them. For analysis. You ever get option for analysis with all the choice? Oh, you mean paralysis? No. For me, without all the options, like I have all the options, so when I'm ready to go to stuff, it's just there. That's another reason why I do the preset packs. Even if I never did preset packs to sell, I would still have all these pre-programmed like this, so I can just combine sounds like this. Because when you're trying to play, you ain't trying to write all, you ain't trying to be making those sounds like that. I do make sounds sometimes, but in the process of creating, but not too often. Yeah, so check out the Future Impact is going to give you that exact type of feel to it. Let's see where we at. Oh, I ain't getting no sound. What I just do? Did something here. Hey, I'm getting sound from everywhere else. Oh, yeah, it'd probably help if I turned it on. So this keyboard is running the Future Impact. This middle one was running just this Enzo X, and this bottom one was running everything else. This Enzo X, the Chimera, Pog 3 is also an organ module as well, and the iPad stuff, Neo Soul keys and Sample Tank running with AUM mixer on there, which is AUM app, which is audio mixer app, I guess. Yes, absolutely. The Enzo X would, I guarantee the bang for your buck with the Enzo X. I mean, all of them. Don't get me wrong. You know, I love, if you see it up here on my pedal board, because this is my main gigging pedal board right here because I do solo gigs and stuff. The Enzo X has the highest quality sound. So I'll go through some of the other sounds on the other. So this is the Future Impact, which is designed to sound like the vintage mono synths. Let me turn off that. Right. Let's go to the top of the list here. Of course, because I got a bunch of synth-based stuff programmed with this. Big heavy bass sounds too. three of these synth pedals can do synth bass, but this one definitely does the Moog sounds. So just all the vintage bass sounds you could ever want, all the Moog-esque and ARP 2600 type tones you can get from this thing. Even sounds like Flashlight, I've been able to recreate. Man in the Mirror. So just you can get spot on with this. Now the other two, I can get close to those sounds, but I can't get those exact sounds that I get from the Future Impact. That is, like when I'm listening to like these sounds on the records and stuff, like I can get spot on with the Future Impact versus the other two. I'm just getting kind of close in that range. So no problem. Thanks for stopping by, man. Make sure if you subscribe, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I definitely appreciate you stopping by, chiming in, and it won't be the last time. Hopefully I'll see you around. And even with running the wireless MIDI, there's no real noticeable latency. And that's with going to the wired. The Enzo X is actually wired into the MIDI, into the daisy chain. It's actually the first pedal in the daisy chain. But the iPad is connected through the WIDI jack. And that's even with the other keyboard. So you can do things like that too, where I just had this one for the EP. Might have something down here. It's just having multiple of units like the Enzo X allows you to really, spread out duties amongst your pedal board. So I can have the Enzo X and say the Chimera. It's the Chimera by itself. Oh, still got the other Enzo X on. It's the Chimera by itself. Which I absolutely love this thing. Like it sounds got all like the sounds that the Enzo X and the Future Impact cannot create. Oh, a lot of other synths. I don't know any other synths that get you these exact type of sounds that you're getting out of the Chimera, to be honest. Very unique sounds. Running through some nice reverb presets. Use that Mercury X freeze on them. Yeah, that's nasty. Chimera got some, that's a patch I was able to make in there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a preset pack for the Chimera, but just because I don't know how to export the presets just yet. So if I ever could figure that out, I definitely will. But just sounds like this are like worth the price of admission. It's not going to be your main synth, but the extra it adds to your rig is insane. Along with the Mercury X. So you combine that with the Enzo X parts. Ambience in there. And what we'll do is we'll make these two Enzo X pads fall back a little bit, just bring them back a little bit. Just let the Chimera be out front. So peaceful. I don't know what it is about these synths because they don't have any analog components, but they all sound really warm. All three of these different synths, Future Impact, Chimera, and Enzo X, I can get nice, beautiful, warm sounds out of. Now the Chimera doesn't have the flexibility of the Enzo X. You know what I'm saying? It does have a ton of flexibility in there now, and it's to the point where I'm still exploring some of the flexibility in there. But the Enzo X allows you to use all the effects that are available in the unit on your dry signal, while the Chimera does not, in its current configuration, does not. Maybe if they do a firmware, they can allow the dry signal, if you wanted it to go through the effects section. But to be honest, the effects section in there isn't what I would use on my dry bass anyway. But they work perfectly with the sounds in there. Like, they sound so, when you listen to them individually, they aren't the best, chorus or flanger or reverb, especially when you're using something like a Enzo X or a Mercury X. It doesn't even equate, not even partially. But when you're using it in combination with things and, maybe even using the Mercury X as the reverb and the delay for the unit, it definitely opens up the possibilities and makes it get you nasty stuff like that. You can throw EP on that. And that's me using 1, 2, 3, 4 different sounds there. Adding a pad from the sample tank, and this pad is from the Nord samples on here. So I'm taking this Nord sample, combining it with the Chimera and in both of the Enzo X and Neo Soul keys app. So basically we got sample tank with the Nord sample. We got one Enzo X with a warm pad, another one, both of them 2 Enzo X's. And then we got the Chimera with that bouncing synth sound there, along with the Mercury X doing this magic with my Negus Cosmic preset. Again, available on Patreon. And I can still freeze all of those sounds combined with the Mercury X. One of the other beauties of having the 2 separate Enzo X's, especially running in 2 different, one just running by itself, I can always change the width of the stereo, when I'm running it into a mixer, for instance. If I wanted to bring this pad in some, So now we'll go from put that pad in some, so it doesn't have to be so wide in the same exact place as all the other sounds, especially compared to how wide this is. And that's a really wide sound. So now I can have this pad a little more central. You can hear them a little better separately, right? You can hear that one a lot more in the middle there. lot wider. Combine the two. So I flipped the Chimera phase on the parallel mixer and shifted it 180 degrees just to give it. See how I like it now? It's right there in your face. So now, because of how I shifted the phase on the Chimera, instead of it being a wider sound, it's like it shifted it to have like one of the sides more so in the face, in my opinion. And then you still got your EP as well as the other pad. See how it's not all just on the sides anymore. It's like it wraps around you now a lot more because we put different synthesizers in different places in the audio field, like in that spectrum there. Simply by changing the reverb on that, I can change the whole feel of the sound. You know what I'm saying? So the way I kind of look at all these synth pedals in conjunction, it's like I made a custom keyboard with different modules, right? Because I have got like my Moog and ARP 2600 module, organ module, sitar module, if I wanted to play it on my bass, right? And I can also run other sounds through here. You can do way more stuff than sitar sounds with the Reverb sitar. Got a V256 vocoder, right? That would be in the keyboard as well. I got my lo-fi sounds. That would be in the keyboard, as well as the Enzo X, two of them, for all my synth, synthesizer part of it. And all the samples I need, I have sample synths like Sample Tank and Neo Soul Keys app, all running on my iPad. So all that in conjunction together makes a custom keyboard type thing versus just getting a keyboard and having a bunch of stock sounds. Now I can really customize each sound because the Chimera also has wavetable synth and the sampling. I can use sampling on there as well. Even getting like this choir type sound. this chant preset from the Mercury X on. So everything except for this separate Enzo X will be running through that particular sample. Let me see. That's now even allowing the Mercury X to get in on the action of like the synth action, right? So if I don't have that on, this is the sound I get. Still great sounds, right? But with it on, it just takes the sound to another dimension. That's the Mercury X adding that extra. I can even freeze it on the Mercury X. So yeah, just having the the ability to combine sounds. That was literally one, two, three, four, five, six different sounds used in just, really seven, because the Mercury X I'd also would consider somewhat of an instrument. It is a reverb and an effects pedal, but it definitely takes on the role as a unique part of your sound, like changing it to the point where you have to play, you know, you have to use it as part of the sound, making it almost like its own separate instrument. It's a reverb pedal, this big blue in here. So yeah, throughout experimenting with different things, I wouldn't always just go with what everybody else has already. Everybody already has all those sounds. Everybody already has a Nord and all the Yamaha MODX7 or whatever, 6, whatever that thing is. All those sounds are already being used on a lot of stuff. So if you want a new way to inspire yourself, I would definitely say check out some synth pedals. Even things like the Pog 3 is going to inspire you. You know what I'm saying? Especially as a bassist. I know I've been played bass in this particular live stream, but that's primarily what I do. I'm a bassist, and I happen to play keys and drums and other stuff. So, excuse me. But ultimately, having these different tools just gives you freedom. It's not like the Future Impact or the Chimera or the Enzo X replace each other, because none of them replace each other. They literally all three of them are different things. I always get that question, which one is better, which one is, this or that. They all will do the job, but depending on which job you want to do is which tool you want to use. A screwdriver is a screwdriver, right? No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? They look the same, but a Phillips head versus a flathead. There's some, yes, can you do some of the same things with a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver? Yes. But at some point, will you need both of those tools to do separate things? Possibly different things at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You may have to turn two screws at once. So you need more than one screwdriver. You need more than one tool. You see what I'm saying? You need a hammer and a saw. You feel me? Like it's not either or. Which one's better? It's literally you need either or. So it definitely takes some time to understand that about synths, and you really have to spend time with each pedal, and even to really understand if you like it or not. When you get the Chimera, you may not like all the stock sounds, but stock sounds, never judge a pedal by its stock sounds. Always judge it by the features and the parameters and the abilities, the flexibility of those sounds, and if you're able to get to the sound that you're looking for in that pedal. So, the Enzo X I highly recommend it, to the point where I have 2 of them now. And this one is going to allow me to have, create new sounds. This one over here off to the side, that's going to have all my normal gig sounds in it. This is going to have, right now has the same set of sounds in it, but it will eventually have a completely different set of sounds in here than over there, just because I will be using them differently, and I'll be using this probably in a separate pedal board, like a smaller one. I might put together a medium-sized board with the Enzo X, maybe the Deep Freeze by Electro Harmonics. And I might add one of the analog preamps over there, something like a Ampeg SGT or Aguilar. One of the Aguilar pedals. Let me grab this other pedal board real quick. So, probably build something here, something like this. But put I won't have all these analog preamps. These are just on here because these some pedals I needed to store real quick. But I'm glad I paid attention, didn't tilt it, because this show ain't got no Velcro on it. But all 3 of these preamps are amazing, by the way. if you're not familiar with these 3 preamps. But I might use the Key 9, Mel 9, Atlas, Source Audio Atlas compressor, and a Tone X over here, and the Enzo X. And I have some other pedals off to the side here, MXR layers. Still have a C4 synth. Got a, what is that, a Electro Harmonics bass balls. I got my Jam Man Solo HD over there off to the side, and a Blurst. So might use all of that. But you know, if you're looking for a what is this thing? A 3-way loop switcher. These are really good. I got these off of Amazon for $40, and it's pretty much 3 effects loops. You know, mono in, mono out. Difference between this and this, right? So this is in series. So when you come in, it goes, if this loop is selected, goes out, comes in, goes to the next loop, goes out, comes in. Same thing here, goes out, comes in, and then out. All in series, like if you were running one pedal into the other, unless you take it out with each foot switch, right? Each one is running parallel to your dry sound. So not only would it have my regular dry signal coming through, completely untouched, it also sends that same signal individually to each of those synth pedals and back into the pedal, and then allows me to mix all 4 sounds together. Versus this, it would be all 4 sounds running into the next. So these are very useful if you have a bunch of like effects pedals or pedals that don't have true bypass. You know, these little Amazon loopers will definitely help your signal chain out. And these are, like I said, $40. They're not expensive. The parallel mixer is like $150. But the parallel, like I said, running them joints in parallel is crazy. Only thing I would change about that parallel mixer is if they would, you know, not change. I would like to see a stereo version of that in the next couple of years. That would be amazing. Then I could run 3 stereo loops. So, all right. That's all I'm going to do for today, guys. I definitely appreciate you hanging with me. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm going live, as well as check out Patreon for all my preset packs, patreon.com/allbasscreations. And then we also have, I'm not going to worry about that. But, yeah, follow me on all social media and all that good stuff. So.